So this is a slightly technical presentation, but we're going to try to keep it very light and fun. So I have some pictures. The most important thing to talk about here is this concept of decentralize. Our slogan is now decentralize or die, which is not meant to be a threat, I promise. We're not threatening anybody in this room. We're not offering to kill anybody, I promise. The thing that we're saying with this statement is that we have two choices before us as a species. There is the option of decentralization, which offers ownership and control and the ability to have freedom of speech. And there's the option of centralization, which is the system that we currently live in. It's the system that has dominated throughout history, and it basically depends on controlling people. So if you want freedom, let's decentralize or die, because it's clearly getting very scary. And I used to work in robotics, and you do not want to know what they're working on. It's very, very scary stuff, and it's controlled by computers. So the point being, here's coin market cap. So big, scary numbers. Hopefully I haven't given anybody shock with the prices. The thing I want to talk about here is what this is as an application. When you go to this website, like, how does it work? Where does the information come from? So this information on the site is coming from a server. There's some database somewhere that collects all this information, and it puts it on the screen in front of you. And that means that whoever controls that server decides what the information is. So this has actually been a problem for a while. The innovation of technology is generally that you make it easier and easier and easier for people to press buttons and get exactly what they want back. But that's a limitation, actually, because every single time that you press a button, what you get is you get information. It comes out of a database, it goes to a server, the server hosts it onto an HTTP server, and then it comes out to your computer. This is how dapps work, too. Most of them, actually. Almost every dapp that you've ever seen has almost no decentralized components. But they're still called dapps because they run on a blockchain, kind of. They have a smart contract somewhere, or there's a token somebody's trying to sell, or there's an NFT underneath of all of it. But they're centralized. There is no decentralization. The concept of decentralization is a hoax. It's a fairy tale that's told to sell tokens on CoinMarketCap. What we're building at Koii is the ability to have truly decentralized systems where you don't have a server anymore, where you have nodes, like blockchain nodes, like Bitcoin, where you can basically have a system underlying all of these websites, every single thing that you look at, that runs on people's computers, people's phones, little tiny devices. In fact, I have one with me. This is kind of a fun little example. Someone gave me this as a present and asked if we could put a note on it. This is a teeny, teeny, tiny phone. It has a battery in it, and it's got a little SIM card thing, so you can basically connect this to the internet, and you can run programs on it. You can run a program that you can get something to happen. You can have this host a website. You can get little tiny things like this to work together so that you don't have centralization anymore. And it's actually very easy to do this. That's the craziest part. It's a lot easier than Bitcoin. It's a lot easier than Ethereum. All of these things that you've heard of are actually already there. We already have decentralization. We've got all these layers. So we've got things like Ethereum and Bitcoin. They hold money. You can use them to transfer value. You can pay people with them for stuff in a decentralized way. So you don't need a bank. So that means you can pay somebody to use their computer, a Koii node, to do something. And the best part is there's also a bunch of service layers that do all kinds of really cool things. Things like Polkadot and Avalanche that are really fast, that can do high-speed transactions. And there's also things like Arweave or Filecoin or SIA or IPFS. And what those allow you to do is to store files, entire databases, almost any kind of information that you want on a decentralized network. And they're already up and running. People have already built these. They work basically perfectly. Anytime that you use an NFT website, a lot of the time, they're storing all those files on AWS or on Google Hosting or something like that. But you can put them onto Arweave and Filecoin. And it's up to consumers to ask for this service. That's actually the limiting reagent here. If you go to a website and they tell you it's decentralized and it's not, and you don't call them out on it, they have no reason to change that behavior. It's a budget expense. Somebody has to make the decision. So what we tried to do with Koii is to build something that is basically a simple solution for this. We're working with companies like Leyline, Chris, right here, to build cross-chain DAOs that are powered by proof of good so that you can track what's happening in real life. You can give an attestation to somebody's DID, and then they can actually build something. They can, you can basically connect people together using cryptography. We've built modular tasks that run on Koii nodes so that you can basically write a little bit of JavaScript and deploy it to somebody's computer or phone. And that's what makes the back end of these apps. These chain-agnostic nodes also can talk to all kinds of different blockchains because people have already written all the layers that are necessary. It's already all out there. We just kind of put all the pieces together. And then finally, what this means is you can build instant decentralized apps. that's what we're working on later on this year. When I first started learning software, I took a Ruby on Rails tutorial, and I learned how to make Twitter in 5 minutes. We want to make decentralized Twitter that accessible, where it's running on people's phones, computers, any device that you have, and then you, as users, can get paid for letting them use your devices. So you can actually get paid to use these platforms because you're going to be hosting the platform. And so finally, what this means is you can kind of just put all these pieces together. And in fact, you can just take all our stuff. It's all open source. So if you want to go copy Koii and make it competitor to us, I would love that. Because that'll be more decentralized. That's the whole point. We're not trying to make a monopoly. So what this means is, you as an end user, and sorry, this was supposed to be a demo earlier, so this is the part that was going to be a demo, but now it's a picture. So with a DID, which is a decentralized ID, it lives on a storage layer, right? So it's a little piece of information about you that you use like a passport. You can go through the Koii registration contract with that, and then you can interact with any blockchain, because Koii nodes know who you are, and you have keys on your DID that know how to talk to all these different blockchains. And we obfuscate all of this to make it really simple. And so this is a picture of mine. I have a bunch of business cards on me. I'll leave some up here. I can hand them out to you guys. They have a link on them, though, koii.me/u/al. It's my profile page. Here it is. It's a very, very simple application, but it's similar to the other kinds of applications you see on the internet. The difference is this one comes from a decentralized storage network. And it's hosted on other people's computers and phones. And when you press one of these buttons, it does something without having somebody in charge. And it just works. It's amazing. These images, the two images here, also are hosted on decentralized storage. So nobody can take them down. So it doesn't matter what I put on here. Anybody who wants to can do anything they want. You could start a, My Free Cam's decentralized if you wanted to, and you can't censor people. You can also create social media where nobody gets to put their finger on the scale and decide what goes in the newsfeed. Are you guys aware that Facebook is currently being investigated in over 10 countries for meddling with elections by changing what shows up in the newsfeed? They're being investigated for a crime of undermining the very concept of democracy. The whole idea of democracy is that people know what's going on and then they can decide what they should say and they can vote and we have power as free people. But we don't if they can put their finger on the scale. And they don't care at all. They actually just fired the whistleblower who brought this all out, and then she's now basically being seen as a pariah and she gets paraded around on CNN and stuff like that, and they still don't take her seriously. No one takes her seriously because we have to decentralize or we will die. It's that simple. So that's kind of the gist of it. Basically what we've been doing is building a lot of this technology so that we can try to get this to a mass audience because it actually is going to take 1 billion people to change their behavior for this to work because Facebook already has 1 billion people. They've got like 3 billion. And so if you want to get everybody to change their behavior, it starts by basically educating people. So we found a really strong audience of people in the NFT artists and collector group because they know how to talk about this stuff. They get it, right? But then the next layer is we have to get a bunch of people to build apps that are really cool, that are actually better than the existing ones, where all the content's owned by the users. And this is very hard to do. So what we've done with Koii is we basically set up an ecosystem so that you can build decentralized products, and then you can monetize them with attention. So our token doesn't go to the node operators, because that would actually be kind of centralized. That's like the kind of old system that we want to get rid of. Our tokens go to people who create content. And so far, those people really like that. We launched the first product 3 months ago, and we've got almost 8 million views on our website since then. People that are just sharing it, they're uploading little photos, whatever it is. Like, I saw one this morning, it was a Moscow sunset. So some guy in Moscow took a photo with his phone, uploaded it onto Finny, drag and drop, now it's an NFT, showed it to a bunch of his friends, and now he's got 8 million views. Well, we've got 8 million views. He's got a bunch of Koii tokens. But that's the point. We give everybody the microphone, and then they can tell us what they want to put on it. So if you're really interested in this at all, please come grab me, check out Koii.network, and please join us on our Discord. Thank you very much.